There you go.
There are so many things going on in the world of insurance today, and you definitely need to know about them. So we are so excited to be live with Fairview's favorite insurance agent, favorite State Farm agent, Joel Moenkhoff with State Farm. So first of all, we just want to thank you so much for joining us. And can you start off by telling us a little bit about you?
Sure. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and I appreciate these ladies doing this. And it's going to be fun, so we're going to have some fun today. I'm actually from Missouri, born and raised, big family, 4 brothers. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, and moved to Tennessee in roughly 2000 after I graduated college, and had lived in Hermitage and Franklin, and became a State Farm agent in 2016. Whenever we moved out here, I decided to make a career change, and used to be in some consulting, and decided to get into insurance due to some pressure from an old college friend that's a State Farm agent in Kansas.
Cool. Well, my favorite thing that I want to ask about, and I think that everybody in Fairview wants to know, is how in the world did you choose Fairview to be the place that you put your face, your welcoming face, on the only billboard of 96? Yeah. And we also want to know, is it true that it's a free agent with every free policy that they go to with you?
That's right. That billboard, I've asked State Farm if I could put my wife's picture on there. I'd get more business, but they won't let me. They won't let me. Yeah. So, but that being said, Fairview, to be blunt, I went to State Farm with a proposal. I did a business plan, talked to them about the growth that I thought was going to come, and here we are today. You know, that was almost 10 years ago. And yes, it has grown, right? And the neat thing is for me is that I pressured them so much about wanting to do it. They technically said, you know, they look at the demographics and the economy and things, and they maybe attempt to talk you out of it. An agent had moved his office to Franklin from Bellevue, and they asked me if I would take that one and still be starting from scratch, which is what I did here. Wow. Which means you start with nothing. And if there's any State Farm agents out there that are aspiring ones, don't do that. But at the end of the day, it's been great. But I was able to go through the program. They put me in Bellevue. And then through that process of the intern training, they saw the light. And I said, and they pretty much said, you got 9 months, figure it out. And good news was you get your contract after 12 months usually. I got mine at 9 months. So it went really well. We had a great team, still have a great team, and the rest is history. So yeah, we'll be celebrating, this is 9 years, so next year will be 10.
That's awesome. And how many people do you have employed on your team here? Are they local?
Yep. So we currently have 2 service, 2 sales, and actually have somebody in the mix right now that's going to be what we call a hybrid role. We have had some people that have worked remotely for us. We are insured in other states as well. We do Alabama, Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. And the reason for that was a lot of our clients were moving to some of those states, and they didn't want to leave us, which was great kudos to us. So we decided to get our licensing in the other states, and so we do some business, but mostly this area, Williamson County, Davidson County, and the 60-mile radius of Fairview, roughly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So there are so many changes that are happening right now in the world of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for the people that are watching, I'm sure there's so many questions. We have all these different events that are going on throughout the U.S. And I know that you said that you're centralized to those states that you represent. But
right.
Talk to us about what the climate looks like for insurance and how you're able to really protect families.
Right. So, and believe me, I think insurance stinks in general because of the cost of insurance. You know, it's a terrible product. And the reason why is because most people look at it as, I'm paying all this money, and the only way that I can help you is you have to have a bad day.
Right.
Right. And however, if you have a bad day, that's when I become your best friend. And so I urge people that have policies, regardless of whether it's State Farm or whoever, make sure you got what you need, because I just talked to the team today. when people come in and they slap down a declarations page and say, hey, can you match this? I really don't know. I don't know what they have. I don't know what they owe. I don't know what they own. And once we do our due diligence and ask you what you're protecting, then we can do the right thing. And I feel like that's why I picked State Farm in the beginning. I did interview with other companies. I felt like that we do a really good job of making sure that when you have a bad day, we're not coming to the table and saying, oh, we didn't know you had that, or we didn't know you made that much money, or we didn't know you have all this retirement funds that now you're going to have to dip into because we didn't do the right thing in the beginning. But yeah, the landscape, it's tough right now because of the rates, and the rates have went up on everybody. I'm an insured with State Farm. My rates went up. It's nothing personal. At the end of the day, these insurance companies are doing this just to obviously protect themselves. And they have to go through the state to get these increases. It's not like they just snap their fingers and do it. And unfortunately, I feel like, fortunately, I feel like we're hitting a little bit of a peak. And there is some good news coming. I can't really talk about it, but I do know in our world that there is some good news coming here probably in the summer months that hopefully will help people with the cost. That helps. So yeah.
And speaking of so obviously Mitzi was kind of alluding to some of the climate things or some of the issues that are happening with the wildfires and all of that. How can you tell us, does that affect, so that's happening, West Coast or even in North Carolina, the tragedies that's happening there, does that affect a company, and does that, like State Farm, trickle down to someone that maybe is not in that state, but it affects the policyholders?
Yep. It's a great question, and believe me, we've actually gotten a lot of questions about the wildfires in California, which obviously we're devastated by that, and the families and the people that were affected by that. It's terrible. I will tell you this: insurance companies, because there's a lot of news about usually when an insurance company does something that's deemed to be bad, right? Sure. And so. It's a common fact that State Farm was one of those companies that actually didn't renew a lot of homes in that area. I can tell you though, there was reasons for that. There were certain things that weren't done, and no offense to people in California or anything like that, but brush is an example. They used to do some brush cleanup. They stopped doing that. There was some situation with water access and when you're a company, if you're seeing something that doesn't look like it's in your best interest, you're not going to do it. You want to insure a life insurance for a guy standing in the middle of traffic. That's probably not a smart business decision, right? So that being said, it's awful. State Farm still has a huge presence there. They're still the ones that are being affected the most from financial perspective as a company. And but to answer your question, does it trickle down? State Farm is here for our policyholders, and so the reason that we do everything we do, it's a financial obligation to the policyholders.
Sure.
It's not just individualized. So at the end of the day, it obviously does affect the grand scheme of insurance and obviously what's going to happen in the future in that area. I don't think it technically, because it's obviously along. However, at the end of the day, sure, across the board, we're a big company that insures the most homes and autos and life insurance in the United States, and that's something that I'm sure does affect the bottom line. Above my pay grade, but at the end of the day, sure, it's why State Farm does their due diligence and why we go into everything we do, making sure it's an insurable interest and something that makes sense to insure, because at the end of the day, we're a mutual company that protects everybody. It's a great way to do business. Doesn't please everybody every time, but that's insurance.
Sure. Well, there's got to be that balance too.
Correct.
Yeah. Otherwise, if you were only paying out, then how do you stay afloat? Right.
And State Farm's it's on my shirt. We're over 100-year-old company, and there's not a lot of companies out there that can say that.
Sure. Sure.
And sometimes people need to be patient with State Farm because we're a 100-year-old company. So, when we test technology and absorb, stay ahead of the curve, we want to make sure it works too.
Sure.
And so we do our due diligence, and And sometimes that's frustrating for agents and team members that, hey, our systems aren't as flashy as others. But some of those companies started 10 years ago, so their technology is different than ours. But we do a really good job of keeping with the times and making sure we don't spend any unnecessary money that we don't have to, but we also want to make sure that we leverage technology to increase productivity.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about a time where you were able to really help an insured and take great care of that family or that individual.
Sure.
Obviously, those are the stories that we really, really love to highlight and showcase.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we've got a lot,
Yeah.
and the reason is that nobody's really I wouldn't say any situation stands out per se, because
Sure.
they're all great.
Yeah.
State Farm really takes care of people in the time of need, because if you have an insurance company that you're paying the dirt cheap prices for and you never have a claim, well, you won.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you have a bad day, as we talked about, then you need a best friend. And so when we have a claims experience, what's neat about us is that, especially if it's local, I've had house fires in Fairview. I can go over there. I can talk to them. I can reach in the drawer over here and cut them a check to go let them go get a hotel room, let them go rent a house, let them buy whatever they need to get to front them some money. So I love the fact that I'm able to do that. And usually those are the ones that stick out, is that feet on the ground, we're right there. State Farm claims team comes in. They're very diligent and very quick to remedy the situation. And there, like I said, another thing in your policy is a loss of use. Mm-hmm. And so when you lose your home, you got to go get something, right? And so State Farm does a really good job of making sure we put you back into something temporarily that is what you had. We're not going to put you in a 1-bedroom apartment when you lived in a 6-bedroom house, right? And we've had some really cool situations with that, where we've actually, paid out a lot of money to put somebody up in a nice place, that because they had a nice place, or equivalent to what they were living in. But yeah, nobody stands out any more than the other. Sure. They all are obviously terrible situations, and it's just nice that I can go give them, a hug, or bring them a ladder, or I had to hamburger. Hamburger. Yeah. Appreciate your business. Yeah. But, recently in one of the house fires, the guy needed a trailer. So I happen to have a trailer. I let him use it. When we've had trees down, a lot of insurance doesn't cover a tree if it falls in the yard. If it falls in the house, that's a different story.
Sure.
I got a chainsaw, so it was one of those, just run around and do what you can. I can't help everybody. However, at the end of the day, we do what we can just to be human.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's all about.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely has always been a personal touch, and, kind of bringing it back to Fairview, you're very involved here in Fairview. You kind of see you everywhere, not only just the billboard side, right. But you are very involved in contributing to all kinds of different sports out here. Obviously, if you don't know this, you'll see Joel on the football field sometimes. Are you still doing high school and is it, hold on, let me look, SEC?
There you go. Yeah, I tell you what, when I moved here, this is great. I played football at a small college in Kansas called Ottawa University. The reason I went there, it was NAIA, and if you see my stature, I could play there. I wasn't playing at the big schools, but I had a great career there. And when I moved here, there was a men's league team, played on that, actually ruptured my Achilles tendon. One of the guys on the team said, hey, you should think about officiating, because obviously this is dumb. And it was, because I was paying to get beat up. So I did. I got into officiating roughly in the year 2000, and been doing it ever since. And it started with the Pee-wees, little kids, moved up to high school, small college, mid-level college. And then now, yes, I made it to what I thought I never would, which was the SEC. So yes, during the week I will go do some middle school games. I don't do Friday nights at Fairview because obvious reasons. It might be a conflict of interest to see your billboard
right.
or your ad on the jumbotron while you're reffing the game. So stay away from that. But I'm usually traveling on Fridays anyways during the football season. And then so it's been finished my third year, and looking forward to next year already.
And you've got 4 boys, right, of your own.
Yep.
Are they going to be football players or are they going to be hockey players? Because that's where your wife and it seems like your family is more comfortable on the ice than maybe you're on the football field, but I haven't seen them on the football field yet.
No, wife being a ex-professional figure skater, I guess she's technically still is.
Yeah.
And a coach, it's pretty easy to have your kids in hockey and sports on the ice. So when I met Molly, she was a amateur figure skater. She's way cooler than me, by the way. So the reason people want to hang out with me is because of her. But anyway, she had a great career. She's done some awesome things. You should do an interview with her.
Yeah.
But long story short, yes, my kids are all about hockey, and I don't know a thing about it. So it's probably a really good thing, because if I did, I might be a more anxious dad on the side, in the stands. But I just sit there and learn something new every time. But oldest is 11, Rockney, plays travel. My next one's Ryman. He's 8. He plays house league at Centennial, and then I've got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, Rhodes and Remington. So I got all R's. And those two are, they're not Irish twins, but they're close. But they're on skates, but they haven't technically played any organized hockey yet. But yeah, I think we're an all-in hockey family, so I don't know if football is going to happen. You never know. So they're still young. We'll see. But they're great kids and keep me busy.
That's awesome.
Kind of my why. That's why I do this.
Oh, that's right.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, tell me real quick about what did Molly do for the Predators? All I remember is you telling me a story about catching fish or something with her on the ice. And I am not a hockey fan or whatever. So what did they do?
That picture is actually being printed, and I'm going to put it somewhere in the office. So she was part of the ice crew and the Goal Girls for a while, and they've changed that since. They don't really do that anymore. But she used to go out there between periods and actually do almost like little routines, and people always were amazed because they're like, who is this girl out there? And then the tradition with the Nashville Predators is, they'll throw a catfish on the ice to hex the other team. Pretty prevalent in the playoffs, but every now and then if you're at a game, you'll see a catfish on the ice. And so it became something to where I don't think they really liked to do it. And now, fast forward to today, they're chomping at the bit to go grab these things. But she had to run out there and grab this catfish. I mean, it's as big as her. And for a long time, she was kind of posterized in the Preds, in the lobby area, and had her picture up there with a big old catfish taking it off the ice. And I'll never forget, she said, that thing, I squeezed it, and it was so gross. And,
probably just trying to keep a grip on it.
That I think is the last time that'll ever happen.
Well, I'm just picturing it, so it's great.
I'll show you later, but it's pretty epic. Yeah, it's a cool picture.
Yeah.
Another reason why she's way cooler than me.
That is really cool. Awesome. Well, it has been so great to get to know you more. And is there anything before we wrap up that you want to share with the audience?
Sure. Yeah. So, like I said, I appreciate these ladies coming in. I like to keep things generic. Obviously I work for State Farm, but insurance in general, if anybody has any questions, obviously we'd love to meet with you. We're located next to the Songbird Dentistry. For you Fairview legends, we're the old Wink building. Most people call it the Wink building still, behind Dunkin' Donuts. And we moved here about a year ago, and we love it. It's been a great move for us. The building's great, and the location's great. So anytime anybody wants to have a conversation about insurance, we're open book.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited to get together and
looking forward to working with you too.
Definitely. So, well, thank you guys so much for watching episode 1 of Fairview Live.
I'm the guinea pig.
Yes.
You did great.
Yes. Yeah.
It's only going to go up from here.
That's right. We're breaking ground. So, thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. But also, if you have not RSVP'd for our vision board party, that happens a week from today, so that'll be Thursday, January the 30th at 5:30 p.m. at the Fairview Rec Center. So definitely sign up. There's a lot of people signing up, and we do have limited space. So anyway, we can't wait to see you guys, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.